Hey guys, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. Today's video is a collaboration with Falon over at Moss Family TV. So I'm going to be linking her channel down below, and I will also link the playlist when she posts it. So we're going to jump right into this video. It's all sweet treat recipes, and we're going to get started with peanut butter vanilla fudge. This is the easiest fudge recipe I've ever made. I make it every year at Christmas time. I make it chocolate and vanilla. Today I'm doing vanilla, so all you need is a 16-ounce container of creamy peanut butter, 1 can of frosting, and I wanted to make it festive with this funfetti with the sprinkles. But I didn't know it was blue frosting, even though it's vanilla flavored. So I didn't want blue fudge, so we're going to find something to do with that a little bit later. But to get started, you're just going to remove the lid and the foil from your frosting container. You're going to put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds and stir it. It took about 50 seconds for mine. You want it to be completely liquid. You don't want any clumps of frosting in there. So once you have it to that point, you're just going to pour it in your bowl. And it's very, very hot, so be careful, especially if you're doing this with kids. And then you're just going to do the same thing with the peanut butter. The peanut butter ended up taking about a minute. I did it for 30 seconds and then 30 more. We're just going to mix this together, and it just looks so nice. It has almost like a vanilla swirl to it. You pour it into your 9x9 or 8x8 glass pan. And I'm just going to add, after I spread it out, I'm just going to add some of those funfetti sprinkles. I always have left this in my refrigerator for at least 2 hours. On this day, I was doing other things, so it was in my fridge for about close to 4 hours before I cut it up and plated it up. And I'm going to show you how that looks. And there you have it, probably the easiest fudge you'll ever make. We're just going to eat a few pieces of this today, and then I'm going to put it in an airtight container in the fridge until Christmas. So let's get started on our next dessert. Next, I'm making peppermint bark. This is something I love making every year at Christmas time. So I have 12 candy canes. I have my peppermint extract, my white chips, and I also have the mini semi-sweet chocolate chips back there. I'm going to get started by putting the candy canes in my Ziploc bag here. I'm going to get them all smashed up. Then it'll be time to add our chocolate chips to the bowl. And I put those in a bowl and I put it in the microwave, and I did 30 seconds at a time until the chocolate was melted. It took about two and a half, I think it was 2.5 minutes. I added a little bit of peppermint extract, and I'm just gonna spread it on my parchment paper lined pan, and I'm putting it in my freezer for about 30 minutes. Once the 30 minutes was up, I still left it in the freezer, but it was time to start melting the white chocolate chips. Now, I use the store brand of white chips every year when I make this, and I wasn't sure about this brand. I know this is really good chocolate, but I've never used it for melting. So this took over 3 minutes to get to this consistency in the microwave, and you can see it's hardening really fast. It doesn't seem to be a good melting chip. So I'm trying to get the candy canes in there as quick as I can and get it mixed up before it hardens too much. So I wasn't really able to pour this over the chocolate. You'll see here, I kind of had to spread it. It was pretty hard, but the good news is it turned out really good. It tasted great. So as soon as I had all of that white chocolate spread out on top of the dark, I just added more candy cane crumbs, and I did put this in my freezer for about, I think it was 30 to 45 minutes before I took it out. So here I am taking it out, and I'm trying to cut it, which normally I can do with my peppermint bark, but the texture of that white chocolate was just so different. So I ended up having to crack it. You can see I was struggling a little bit, but it did end up tasting really good. So That's my peppermint bark recipe. Maybe don't use that brand of chips, or maybe I just got a bad bag. I don't know. But either way, it was tasty, and that's all that counts. So now let's get on to our next sweet treat. This I wasn't even planning on making today, but since I did, I figured I'd just put it in this video. I had that frosting earlier that I showed you. I had opened it, so now it has to be used. So I had some sugar cookie dough in it was the pre-made kind. I had it in my freezer from a previous batch. So I just baked those up really quick, and I ended up using maybe not even half of that container of frosting. But I used some of it, and I used the rest of the sprinkles on these. So we'll figure out something to do at another time. That frosting will be good for about another week. So this was kind of just a bonus cookie that my family got this week. So let's get on to our next recipe. Next, I'm going to share with you my favorite recipe for oatmeal cookies. Today I'm going to be making them peanut butter chip oatmeal cookies. So to get this recipe started, we're going to begin with our dry ingredients. To my bowl, I'm adding 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Once I have that in the bowl, I'm going to add some cinnamon. The recipe calls for 1/2 teaspoon. I'm just going to shake a little bit of cinnamon right into that flour. Once I have that in there, I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Then it'll be time to get started on our butter and our sugar. In my other bowl, I have 1 3/4 sticks of unsalted butter that I've had softening for a while. I just happen to have unsalted butter on hand. I've made this with salted butter, and to me, I really can't tell the difference, but I had it on hand, so that's what I used. To that butter, I added 3/4 cup of brown sugar, 3/4 cup of white sugar, and now I'm just going to mix it all together with my fork until it gets to the consistency that I want, and then it'll be time to add our eggs and our vanilla. Now that I have the butter and the sugar to the consistency I want, I'm just going to start adding my vanilla. That's 1 teaspoon. I'm also adding 2 eggs. We're going to mix that together, and then it'll be time to put those dry ingredients back in. The salt and the cinnamon, the baking soda, and the flour. We're going to mix that up together, and we're going to start adding our oats. And we're going to be adding 3 cups of oats. I'm using the quick oats, so I added 3 cups of those. The recipe does call for 2 cups of chips, any kind you want to use. I'm using the peanut butter, and when I measured it, it was just a little over 2 cups. So you'll see I threw that in, and then the rest of the bag. Now that I have everything mixed together, I'm just going to clean up my mess here. My oven is still preheating. This has to cook in a 375 oven for 11 to 15 minutes, so I'll be right back. Now that my oven's preheated, I'm going to start putting the cookies on the sheet, and I have 2 different size pans back there, so at this point I was just trying to figure out how many I could fit. So for this first batch, I got 12 on one sheet and 9 on the other. So for the first batch, I had 23 cookies. These did end up taking about 15 minutes to cook for both batches. When I did my second batch, I just spaced them out a little bit more, and I ended up with 13 cookies. So in total, this recipe made 36 cookies using a small cookie scoop. And here's a shot of the cookies after I plated them up. They were really good. I hope you guys all enjoyed watching this video. Thanks to Falon over at Moss Family TV for hosting this collab. If you guys did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I would love to have you around. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I will see you on the next one. Bye.